Hello and welcome everyone to my channel, Teatime and Spells. My name is Melissa, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a WIP and chat. I'm going to be working on Fairy Lights by Ivy Dollamore and just kind of chatting you guys up and letting you know what has happened in the past week, because man, a lot has happened. So if you're interested in hearing the tea, then grab yourself some, maybe a snack or two, maybe your own WIP, and let's get into it. All right. So I went ahead and narrowed it down to this little corner. So I am so close to finishing up Fairy Lights. I have just this one strip at the bottom here, and I have it I don't really have it like taped out or anything, but I've kind of got these sections that I've been working on, and they're about the size of this release paper. This was release paper I actually got from my Jaded Gym Shop kit, the Cat Fedora one, The Apprentice. So I just grabbed one of these sheets, and I kind of use this as my general rule of the size that I kind of go for when it comes to sections. And because this one's an older kit, it doesn't have the perforated sections. So I've just been kind of doing it the old-fashioned way, where I just put it off to the side, put a cover minder on there. I use the release paper so I have something to rest my hand, and then I just pick a color and go. And that's what I'm gonna do. Let's go ahead and start with that one. All right, well, first off, hello, good morning, good day, good evening, whatever time it is for you. It is currently like 6 o'clock, I wanna say, Thursday, July 31st, last day of the month. And yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish this in time. I really had hoped that I would have this painting done in time for the end of the month. That way I could fly off to California and not worry about having a WIP that was almost finished waiting for me when I get back. But alas, some of the best laid plans don't go according to plans sometimes. And that's kind of been the feeling, the gist of most of this week, because it has just been a crazy, crazy week. So I think I mentioned it in the last WIP that the clinic that I work at was moving. We were moving locations. We were moving from an older place to something that was new and fresh, and was it wasn't newly built for the owner, but the previous space was like a boutique clothing shop, and they went ahead, and the owners of that place, when they rented out to the doctor I work for, they said, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll pay for the build out to get your clinic exactly how you want it to be. And he brought him blueprints, and everything was exactly how the doctor envisioned it. Well, these blueprints weren't followed exactly. They were followed to the best of their ability. There were some snags along the way in terms of the realistic restrictions to the place. So, for instance, ductwork, where plumbing lines were located, electrical that was already established and having to tie into that to put electrical in new build-outs, things along that nature. So, the blueprint was a general guideline, and for the most part, I would say that the image of what the doctor wanted was pretty accurate. There were some realities that were not quite so accurate. In particular, the front desk area. So I'm the office manager there, and I also run the front desk. So, I do like your check-in, your paperwork, payments, things along that nature. So I have your very typical, I have a desk, and there's like a countertop and then, you know, it's all framed out with a window. Well, the contractors that built this out made the countertops too tall, which made the rest of the area too tall. So I have this really tall desk and a short chair. And I mean, I'm not short. I'm 5'5", not terribly short, but I'm not 6 foot or over. And yeah, so that wasn't exactly what we expected. And unfortunately, it meant that some of the stuff that we were waiting on, such as countertops and cabinetry, had to be reordered to size because the contractors who made the counter, or, you know, they made the windowsill check-in area, didn't bother to do measurements correctly or read the measurements on the blueprint and had it completely finished. They framed it, drywalled it, put electrical in it, painted it before they realized, uh-oh, it's a little too tall. So that was interesting. Friday was moving day, and the countertops had just been installed like a couple days prior. They were fitted up against the wall, which was great. It looked good. The countertops looked good. The cabinets were very nice, very clean looking. But they forgot to drill holes for like all the power lines for, like, you know, the computers and the printers and everything to go into. So we had to, I had to drag the landlord in, and I was like, hey, I need holes to run everything in. Otherwise I can't get anything to work. And he was like, oh, well, I have the bit, but I don't have a drill. So I had to go and rush home to grab my drill and bring it back so that I could have holes so I can get things going. Because my job, when it came to moving, was to make sure everything worked. The electrical worked, internet worked, phone lines worked, all of that. And that was my primary job. Make sure everything worked and try to get things unpacked as much as possible, because we took one day off to move the entire clinic. We took that Friday off, this past Friday, and then we were back to business Monday. So it was kind of like all hands on deck, let's get it going. I think I ended up going to the clinic at, the old clinic at 6:30 in the morning so that I could get everything packed up in my vehicle as much as possible and meet the internet people who were also doing our phone lines ready at the new place at 8 o'clock. Thankfully, I live in a town where I think it takes like 10 minutes from one end of town to the other, so it wasn't like I had to worry about traffic or anything, which is nice. But, you know, I get to the clinic, this new clinic, and nothing worked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, none of the outlets work. What on earth is going on? And I had said in my last WIP and chat that, you know, last week, that Monday and that Tuesday, I was out because I had a migraine. And so I hadn't stepped foot in the new clinic. In fact, they had to like do a little hidey hole for my key that I had to go and find. Because, you know, we have been so busy and I've been sick, and I hadn't had time to pick up a copy of the key or anything. And so I get into the clinic and I'm just taking it all in. It's the first time I've seen the clinic in its finished glory. I think I went through it once when it was in the building phases. So I'm like kind of trying to acquaint myself of, okay, I need to drop all my stuff off here, and then I need to kind of figure out, okay, where are all the cords at? Where's the outlets? Where's, you know, all that kind of stuff. And the technician for the internet place, internet company, comes in at like 8:30. And at this point, I'm on the phone with my doctor, my boss, and I'm like, hey, none of the outlets work. I have no power. You know, any ideas and all that jazz. And he's like, maybe they forgot to turn on the breakers. You know, they were running power at the very last second. They were running all these electrical lines and getting everything tied in. Maybe they just forgot to turn on the breaker. Thankfully, he was absolutely right. I didn't know where the breaker box was because, again, first time being in the clinic at that point in time. And And so, you know, I had to have him kind of walk me through where the breaker box was and everything like that. And thankfully, I was able to get that taken care of. So, and then when the internet person came in, he was tying in the phone lines and he was tying in the internet. And we had internet phones, so everything was all in one. It was supposed to be an easy transition where we plug and play. For anybody who's ever moved, nothing, and I mean that, nothing is ever easy. Something will go wrong. It's like that theory that if something can go wrong, something will go wrong. And that happened because we had 3 phone lines with the company, and only 2 of them were ordered to be transferred over. And apparently for this internet company that we go through, 3 was a magic number, because if you had 3 or more lines, then you were considered a business and you had to go through a specialty account transfer process. But if it was only 2, well, then you were still considered residential and normal. Well, because they messed up, we were considered residential when it was supposed to have been business. And they said, oh, well, we may not be able to do it today. And I'm like, no, I don't care what you do. You have to get it done. It has to be done today. We took 1 day off, and only 1 day, and we need those lines to work. Because again, this is not just the phone lines, it's our internet. Everything that I do is dependent on the internet. Checking in patients, doing billing, insurance, all of that is all internet based. We live in an internet savvy world, and unfortunately, that is the reality of it. And we had a packed schedule for Monday because we've had, you know, this move planned for about a month, ever since we found out the moving date finally. And we had been letting all our patients know, and they were all happy and hyped up, and we were all excited. And we're like, okay, I don't care what you have to do. Get 2 out of the 3 lines going for all I care, but get at least the phone and internet going. So then they had to go and pull some strings with like their account managers and the business side, because, you know, they were the ones who dropped the ball. And eventually they got it figured out and they were able to start working on it. Well, then we found out that the electrician who did all the phone lines and internet lines did them really wonky. And it made it so that, you know, how I have it right now is I've got 3 lines. 1 is a dedicated fax line. So I have 2 phone lines. Let's say you're calling in and I'm on the phone with somebody, and then another person calls in. It's supposed to roll over to that second line, and then I can basically toggle between the 2, where I could put one person on hold, talk to this person, put that one on hold, talk to this person. The way they had originally set up the lines, that rollover wasn't working. And it was, you could tell the technician was really frustrated, because at this point he was about 2.5 hours in, and he was already like 3 hours late on his next job, and he just kind of wanted to be done with it. And I'm over here and I'm like, no, I need you to get this to work the way it's supposed to work. Sorry about that. My phone ran out of storage. So what I was saying is, you know, I told the technician, I don't care what you do. I just need you to get the phone lines to work. So in the end, after a few hours of, you know, us kind of figuring it out, we got it figured out. I got my phone lines working. I got my internet lines working. It was probably close to like almost noon by that time, and it was lunchtime. So the doctor went and took us all out for lunch, you know, and came back and finished unpacking everything. And I would say by the time it was around 4 o'clock, I think we were pretty much done. We did really good. We got everything moved in and unpacked and ready to go for the clinic to, you know, be back on track and business as normal Monday. Made sure everything worked. We made sure the phones worked. We made sure internet worked, computer system, everything. So that was Friday night. Now, Sunday was not a good day. Sunday, the the area that I live in, so I live in South Dakota. We live in the Midwest of the United States of America. It is also known as Tornado Alley. And it is called that because we get a lot of violent storms, a lot of severe weather, and a lot of them produce tornadoes. This has been a fairly active season for the Dakotas and for a lot of the Midwest this year. It's been pretty intense. And Sunday was a doozy because I knew we were going to get we were going to get a thunderstorm. We always get thunderstorms, like you kind of get used to it. I was not prepared for the tornado side of it. I was just sitting down. I think I just sat down, maybe started diamond painting for like 5 minutes. And my phone blares. It just starts blaring the emergency alert system saying take cover, tornado warning, a tornado's on the ground, and all that. And I'm like, oh my God. I yelled at my son, grab the dragon, go down in the basement, grab your dad. He was in the bathroom taking a bath at the time. And he didn't have his phone on him, so he didn't have the emergency alert system blaring at him. The sirens had not kicked in at this point. So, my son's in the basement with the dragon, and I'm like, where's your dad? I go scrambling upstairs, and he's in there taking a bath. I'm like, get out of the bath. Tornado sirens, the tornadoes are going off and all that jazz. And he's like, well, do I have at least time to, get the soap out of my eyes? No. Go, get out now. I don't like tornadoes. I don't like severe weather. I've done good. We've lived out here for over 15 years. And when I first moved to here, I would go panicking every time a tornado warning would go off, everything. So I've actually done really good at keeping my calm. But, between my phone going off, the sirens going off, I was starting to panic a little bit. I was doing pretty good trying to keep my cool, but yeah, I was feeling it. And the sirens were going off for an hour and a half straight. I have never gone through tornado warnings where the sirens just never turn off. It was nonstop for an hour and a half. And the reason why is because we had a tornado that touched down a couple miles. It's in town, but it's on the outskirts of town. It's over by a lake near us. And we live just a few minutes away from that lake. And the tornado touched down over that lake, but it kind of just settled around it. Thankfully, because of that, it didn't do very much damage because it just kind of stuck around the lake area. There was like some trees and stuff like that, but no damaged houses, maybe a couple of like buildings, like outbuildings, but that was kind of it. No fatalities, nobody was hurt or injured, thank goodness. And that tornado just kind of stuck around in that area. But because it stuck around, it just kind of, it stayed on the ground for a little while, and then it went back up. But the problem with that is the storm was supposed to have been going pretty quickly through the area, so this storm was supposed to have progressed out pretty fast. And that's usually what happens with the storms here. They come in quick, and they kind of go out quick. This particular storm decided it wanted to just hunker down over the town and just circle. It was like a big old UFO storm cloud, and it just kept rotating around the entire town. It was the trippiest thing to see, like the skies being green, and you could hear the thunder and the lightning, and you would just see these clouds just rotating around you. It was so creepy. And when the tornado that was close by touched down, you could see it. You could see it from the house, which was scary. Amazing pictures. People were taking some amazing pictures because they're fools. I'm sorry, but anybody who goes outside and literally can walk outside their door and see a tornado in front of them, you're an idiot. Go down into a basement or a shelter. Tornadoes can go so fast. They can go from one direction to another so quick. It's like, oh, no, don't take a chance. Be safe. Go inside. Not to mention the debris. Debris flies everywhere with tornadoes. That's probably more dangerous than the tornado itself. But anyways, these people who were not as smart to hunker down took some amazing photos, though. And one of them, I swear, would be like the poster child picture of the town, because it's literally a picture of like somebody who was kind of like at the top of a hill that overlooked all of the town. And in the background of the town, you could just see this massive tornado. It was a really cool image. Awesome image. And if I could find it, I'll have to include it in. But it was an amazing tornado. Like, I can appreciate it from afar. I can appreciate the beauty and the destruction of Mother Nature from afar when I know that I am safe. And thankfully, I live in a older home with a nice sturdy basement that's been around for like 150 years. So we were just fine. We had no damage or anything like that. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping that I would have enough damage on my siding of my house to get it replaced for free with my homeowner's insurance. That was not the case. Oh well. Maybe next year. No, I'm glad that we didn't have that much damage or anything like that. We actually lucked out with no damage at all. Like, our pool was fine. Both of our vehicles were inside the garage, so they were okay. My garden was probably the biggest casualty. I had quite a few tomato plants that kind of got some snap stems, but other than that, we were okay. We lost power in half of the town, and there was substantial flooding because we had a ton of rain that hit all at once. And there were downed power lines, and there was a lot of people whose basements were flooding because of the rain, and the sump pumps weren't keeping up. So there was a lot of destruction in that regard. But when it came to the actual city, nobody, as far as I had heard, nobody died, nobody was injured, everybody was okay. There were other tornadoes around town, and they were destructive, and unfortunately some people did lose their homes. There was one that was maybe 10 minutes away from our town. It's like the next small town over, and there was a family who their house was completely destroyed by an EF2 tornado, and they did lose like a couple horses and stuff too. So that was sad to hear. They thankfully were okay. They were not at the home when the tornado hit. So that's, one blessing, I suppose, but they're currently trying to rebuild and all that, and that can be quite the ordeal as it is. So thoughts and prayers to those people for sure. But the community around us is always really good about, coming together and helping those who could use our help at this time. So that's really awesome to hear. So we had one tornado that touched down in the town, and it was on the ground for about 10-15 minutes or so, and then it went back up into the funnel, and then it kind of just produced straight line winds and massive amounts of hail while it was kind of circling around for about an hour, because it just hunkered and it just stayed put over the town for a good hour or so. I mean, the tornado sirens were just blaring for so long. It was a very, very long night. And then Monday comes around, and again, Friday, everything was working just fine. But, we come into the clinic, and wouldn't you know it, internet is down. Why? Well, because we had a tornado that hit the town. So, we were lucky that was all that didn't work. We had power and all that, which was nice. And actually, most of our patients arrived. They were fine. No bad news to report. So that was good. Overall, everybody made out pretty okay. There were several smaller towns around the area that did get hit with tornadoes, but from what I understand, apart from that one with the house, no real damage. So that was a good thing to hear. So that was Sunday night. Monday, we're dealing with the aftermath. Power's getting put on for the rest of the town. They're trying to fix trying to fix the internet and the phone lines for the town because everybody had no internet or phone. And then we were prepping for round 2 because this was the first part of a storm system. The second one was a storm system that they call a derecho, which, if you're not familiar, a derecho is like this massive shelf cloud. It's like a massive wall. And behind it and in that storm, it produces high winds, like 70 to 100 mile per hour, gale force hurricane winds. Like, it's strong winds. And it produces thunder and lightning and hail and tornadoes. So it's like, the perfect storm of horrible, nasty stuff. And that was expected to hit like the entire eastern side of South Dakota from like border to border. And it was supposed to hit that evening. So the entire town is still recovering from the tornado that did hit Sunday evening, and now we were prepping for round 2. So a lot of places were shutting down early. If you had kids who were involved in like activity clubs, like the Boys and Girls Club, like my son was, they were requesting parents to pick your kids up early, make sure that you're somewhere safe, you're not going to get caught up in this storm. And yeah, so that was fun. We were kind of prepping for another nasty night. And this one was supposed to last like well into like 1-2 o'clock in the morning. It was going to be a very long night. Thankfully, nothing happened. Not in our town. Our town, all we got was like a really loud thunderstorm and little hail. Nothing major whatsoever, just small amounts of hail and wind and thunder. And the reason for that is because this storm system started splitting, and when it split up north and south, we were kind of in that sweet spot in the middle where we weren't as affected, which was kind of nice because we were still recovering from the last storm. But the south and the north got hammered really bad. They were reporting, I think the southern city of Sioux Falls, they were recording like 90 mile per hour winds. Like, it was bad. And of course, there was lots of tornadoes that were popping up all along the southern side of South Dakota. And yeah, it was a very, very active night. So between Sunday and Monday, I got no diamond painting done whatsoever because I was worried about storms, which I suppose is a more important thing to be worried about instead of your relaxing hobby. Although I really could have used the relaxing hobby after such a stressful night. Stressful day too. Trying to get things up and running for a clinic that's highly dependent on internet. Yeah, that was fun. I didn't get very much work done. Mainly because my work requires a computer. The doctors were still able to, crack backs and all that jazz because it's a manual process. But me, not so much. So I got a lot of reading done. That's always kind of nice. But yeah, it's been a very stressful, busy week trying to get, the clinic up and running after moving business locations, and then, trying to get things ready because I'm going to be gone all next week because I'm going to be flying to California to see my family tomorrow. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to work for half the day, and then I fly out tomorrow evening to California, and I'm going to be out there for a week. I'm going to be visiting family and seeing them. It's been, quite a few years. I want to say that I haven't been to California since like 2018. It was before COVID, I know that. Now, I've seen some of my family when we would go like on vacations. Like when we went to Mexico, quite a few of the family went as well. So that was it was both a nice vacation to somewhere tropical while also kind of catching up with family that lived out of state. So that was nice, but I'll actually be flying out to California with my sister and my mother. It's kind of like a girls' trip. And we'll be able to see a lot of the family that we haven't seen for several years. So really looking forward to that. But I kind of wanted, everything to go nice and smooth for when I'm gone, you know, best laid plans and all that jazz. Well, that did not go according to plan. I don't know, the clinic seems to be doing okay. Yesterday and today were a lot better. I think we're finally getting into a new groove. Internet's been working, phone's been working, so I think I can finally take a breather. Finally get to work on my diamond painting. So I had hoped that I would have gotten this done by the end of July. It was kind of like a personal goal. I really wanted to get this done by the end of July before I went out to California, just so that it was all buttoned up. It was all done, completed. I could come back from California and work on a brand new one. However, between me having my migraines Monday and Tuesday last week, I wasn't able to diamond paint those days. Between the storms that we had this past Sunday and Monday, I wasn't able to diamond paint those days. Yeah, with those 4 days out, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get it done, and that's okay. Like I said, it was just a personal goal. I kind of wanted to get it done so I could start August off with, you know, a new WIP and everything, but I don't have that much left. And the areas that I do have, like right now, I'm working on the bottom right. Let me grab the picture. So right now, there we go. I'm working on this section right here. And the section above, like right here and on the other side of the ferry right here, is so confetti heavy because of all the little spring grasses and the little flowers. Really, really pretty, but very, very confetti. And it just takes more time to do that. When I get to her and like her legs and stuff, that's a lot of color blocking, so that section will go quickly. But I still have at least a few more days of this. So, yep, needless to say, I'm not going to get her done today because today's the last day of July. And that's okay. It's not a race. It's all about the process. And honestly, when Mother Nature and God decide, you know, hey, we're just going to throw some storms your way, you do the responsible thing and you heed them and you go into your basement for a couple hours and just hang out and, you know, pray that your home doesn't get destroyed. In which case it didn't, so prayers were answered. Fun fact, our bearded dragon does not like being in the basement. He did not have a good time at all. Well, he's a reptile, so, you know, cold-blooded, and it was a cold, stormy day, and the basement was cold, and you had these, you know, really loud, obnoxious alarms going off for an hour and a half straight, so we were all getting tired of the alarms for sure. But yeah, he was not having a good time. Which, you know, it makes sense. So we were trying to keep him warm and calm by, you know, putting him on us and, you know, tucking him into our shirts and stuff so he would have body warmth. But we made sure to give him some treats when he was back up. Give him some of his favorite bugs so he could, you know, relax and be by himself and go pout in his little cave. But he did good. He didn't try to, you know, attack us or bite us in fear or anything like that. He did pretty decent. He just didn't want to be down there. He wanted to be in his cozy little cage, which I get. He had all his familiar stuff, and he had his heating up there, and I get it. I didn't want to be down in the basement either, but it is what it is. So yeah, a very fun-filled, action-packed, exciting last few days. 10 out of 10 would not recommend for anybody, by the way, which is not fun. But it's part of living in the Midwest. You get to enjoy some of the fun weather that we have here. If you don't have thunderstorms, then you get to enjoy the bitter cold and snowstorms during the winter. I do not enjoy those either, but at least those ones are a little easier. You just put on layers, and you just don't go outside. In which case, it's fine, because then you just read or do diamond painting. But, yeah. Lots of stuff Lots of things going on. It's hard to believe that today is Thursday. It is the last of July. I had to get the kiddo all of his back to school stuff. That gets more and more expensive every year, that's for sure. So yeah. What? Are you gonna go take a shower? Yeah. Okay. My son is cute. He's trying to do like a charade game on asking if he can go take a shower. Yes, you may go take a shower. Yes, we need to go and get our suitcases packed because I'm going to be going on a plane tomorrow evening. So I want to make sure I've got all of my stuff packed today. And then my son is going to be having a guy's vacation, I guess you could say. He's going to be hanging out with his grandpa. They're going to have a guy's night, and you know, he's going to be hanging out with him while my husband goes to work, and yeah. So they got their own fun-filled plans, which that's pretty cool. I think my dad had sent me a text mentioning about a certain BB gun to maybe bring that, and I'm thinking, yep, you definitely have some plans that you've got in store, so fun times ahead. He's gonna be doing a little bit of shooting. Well, that's fun. We have the space and everything out here, so that's kind of nice. And hunting is definitely an integral part out here. We don't really do the hunting just because we don't have like acres of land to do hunting. But we know how to shoot guns and stuff. We do like the clay pigeons where you could shoot them in the sky and stuff. And that's enjoyable when we have an opportunity to get that, to do that. It's been quite a few years. My parents used to have 7 acres outside of town, and we used to do shooting then, but ever since they moved into town, we haven't done it. So sounds like though my dad might have plans for some target practice with some BBs. Hopefully none of the local critters are going to be part of it, such as the rampaging rabbit population that seems to be taking over town and eating everybody's gardens. Hopefully they're not going to be the targets. But we shall see. All right, but that is going to be it, I think, for me for this video. I do have one video pre-done. I've got one pre-recorded for you guys for when I'm gone in California. So it'll be just the one video next week. And then when I get back, I'll do a whip and chat and tell you guys all about my fun adventures in California and what I got to do while I was there. My goal, apart from, you know, visiting family and spending time with them, I would love to go to a Michael's. The closest Michael's here is like an hour and a half away. And I keep seeing everybody's videos of like all these cute Halloween diamond paintings, and I want some. And they're smaller. I can put those in my carry-on bag. So I might drag my mom or my sister to a Michael's and see if I can't buy some diamond paintings while I'm out there. Because I've seen some pretty cool looking ones. And I've yet to do a Michael's diamond painting. So I'd really like to test them out and see what their quality is like. I plan on bringing the mini dazzle set that I got, my dragon mini dazzle set, to do on the plane. And then I'm kind of going back and forth on if I want to do that diamond dot reflection one. I don't know. Still kind of going back and forth because realistically I don't know how much time I will have to do diamond painting. Because ideally I'll be busy visiting with family. So I don't know. The mini dazzle set might be enough. And if I plan on getting some stuff from Michael's, I don't want to have my carry-on be too big and too full of diamond paintings because I'm only doing a carry-on. I'm not doing any check baggage, so I got to keep it semi-light. Something I'm going to have to ponder. So we shall see. But that is gonna be it for me for this video. Thank you for hanging out with me, letting me ramble on about the storms and all the fun, lovely weather that we have here in South Dakota. Be grateful if you don't have to deal with it. But everywhere in the world has its own weather, and each one has its own stuff you have to deal with. So it doesn't matter where you live. Even on the coast right now, you guys are dealing with tsunamis from earthquakes. So we all have our own little things for sure. So all of it is the chaotic nature of Mother Nature for sure. So everybody, stay safe out there. Number one, stay safe, be kind to everybody. Help each other out if you can, if you're in a position to do so. And then I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.